then I choose you.
Be cool, baby, okay?
Hey, bitch, come here. Got your motherfucking man, come here.
Mr. Pretty Tony, I mean, you know the rules of the game. I mean, your bitch just chose me. Now, we can settle this like you got some class, so we can get into some gangster shit.
Fuck being on some chill shit. We go 0 to 100, nigga, real quick.
Yeah, what up? This is at KMGZ on Blue Sky. This is Thanks for Asking, episode 364. I'm back. Thank you for your patience. The wait, y'all, is because I've told y'all that I'm not going to go into year X, whatever this is, keep yelling about politics because, I mean, you know, it is what it is. But that's all that, like, every break in 5 minutes is some bullshit. So I have to wait till there's enough political stuff built up to even, you know, do this. The only other option is to make these episodes shorter, like 15-20 minutes, but I don't do, you know, because I have such a break between when I'm able to record. I don't really want to do that. I still want to give y'all the same amount of time. So it's just gonna be some breaks in between and like, yo, I got a job. All right, life be lifing. But let's get started. So I'm telling y'all right now, I do not know how long this is gonna be because I only have a few topics, and the main topic that is gonna take this up is sinners. Oh my God, Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan, y'all made a masterpiece. And I have to say, I have been very not critical. I like Michael B. Jordan. I just think that he was given a lot on some of his acting. Like he was really good in Creed, but when I compare him to the other people he was in, I just think he's been given a lot. But I take that back, at least for this movie, because this dude was so good in this movie that he made you think. And look, I'm giving spoilers right now. The movie been out damn near 3 weeks now. They didn't re-released it, so if you don't want to hear about the movie, don't listen. So Michael B. Jordan was so good that the dude played twins and really made you think that it was two people. Like, it's been wild discourse online about, you know, for the who women would prefer, a Smoke or a Stack. Purely non-heterosexual. Stack was my man. I mean, you know, they both was cool, but Stack was just, you know, Stack was the type of dude that I would tend to gravitate to. Like, Smoke was cool, but Smoke was like, I mean, you know, they was both about business. Don't get me wrong. I just put it like this. I didn't think they were that different, but when Smoke first, it was two scenes that I really appreciated that I thought were in a discussion of everything have been totally skipped and totally ignored, that I think was a really good scene, and I think was also trying to make a point. Is a scene at the very beginning when Stack rolls into town and he sees a little girl sitting there and he offers her, I think it was 10 cents a minute or something. I can't remember what he offered her to watch his truck. And then she says, okay. And he's like, nah, baby girl, you never take the first offer that somebody gives you. Throw me back a number. So she said 50, I think, and he said 20 is the best I could do. I thought it was a very important scene because it showed that Stack, you know, took the time to, like, let this little black girl sitting in town barefoot, you know, probably, you know how they treat little black girls now. So imagine how they treated them back then. You know, giving her time and giving her a tip and you know, paying her money. Because, you know, it would have been real easy to make that a little boy, like we typically see a little boy in the scene, but he made a little girl. I appreciate it. But the reason I fell in love with Stack is when he came out and them dudes was robbing his truck and shot dude in his ass. And then he shot the other dude, like, nah, I can't have nobody. Like, I was like, see, that's me. That would have been me. I'm a Stack nigga. I'm not so much a Smoke nigga. I'm a Stack nigga. But Sinner, so it's set in 1932 in Clarksdale, Mississippi. So it's Depression era, Clarksdale, Mississippi. This movie, I'm gonna go see it again on the 10th in the 70 millimeter. Man, when they re-released them dates, I went to the AMC app immediately trying to get, and this shit was just out, so I couldn't even get another screening to the 10th. So it's at AMC 13 here in New York City. there was some confusion because I saw originally in IMAX and people were like, oh, well, I didn't. I saw it in IMAX in front. There's two different IMAXs. There's the regular IMAX that we go see stuff in, and then there's the 70 millimeter. So it's the 70 millimeter that they were talking about, and it's only have that 70 millimeter in certain theaters. And now that I think about it, I think I saw Thor. One of them Marvel movies in that extra IMAX because I typically go to the AMC. It's two theaters I go to in New York City. I go to 84th Street on the Upper West Side because they got the reclining chairs, or I go to AMC 13. So I think I've actually seen. It's a way. If you know, IMAX screen is huge. This one is even huger, but it's like a letterbox. If that's what it is, I think so because I believe I saw Thor in that. Because I remember the screen was a little different, and I saw it too, and I remember the screen was a little different. I was like, oh, but anyway, enough of the chatter. Let's get into the movie. So I was thinking about how it's. Oh my god, this movie is so great, and it's right up my alley. So let's get this out the way. There's a big debate: is it a horror movie? Is it not a horror movie? It's about vampires. It's a fucking horror movie. I think where people are getting confused is just because something is horror doesn't necessarily mean it's scary, right? If y'all listen to this, y'all know I love scary movies. I watch horror movies all the time. Not every horror movie is a scary movie. Horror is just a genre where I saw it the definition. I'm paraphrasing though, but it's basically where the protagonist is like a bad person, like a killer or something like that, or a supernatural force, a monster, a ghost, something like that. That's what horror means, but it don't have to necessarily be scary. Sometimes they're comedies, sometimes they're thrillers. I personally think Sinners, it is a horror, but it's more of a thriller genre. I don't think it's necessarily scary. It's not, to me, it's not even scary in the vampire genre. There are jump scares and there are, there are like, you know, creepy things, I guess, but I wouldn't call the movie scary. If you a real scary person though, maybe, but I feel like if you watch True Blood, if you watch Dust Till Dawn, if you watch Blade, if you watch that and wasn't scared, I feel like you could watch this and not be scared. I've been telling people it's like when Dust Till Dawn meets Marvel meets Southern Gothic. The Southern Gothic part of it is my favorite part because that is a genre that I love. I love Southern Gothic, particularly when it's drama or horror or some catastrophe. Well, I mean, it always is. That's Southern Gothic, but it's not always like involving a murder or whatever. So, I know I'd be sounding like a film school nigga. I'm not a film school nigga. I probably should have been. Like, I don't know if I told y'all before, I was supposed to go to performing arts, but I just didn't. But that was what I was gonna, film, dance, all that shit. So, maybe I just missed my call and I don't know. But it's like it's so much in this movie. And I want to preface this before I get into this because I said from the time I saw the movie, here's the first thing I will say that is brilliant about the movie and why I think the movie is doing so well. Because Ryan Coogler is one of the black creatives, and there's a few, but not many that can present. I mean, this used to be the norm, but in this new day and age, it's not. Can present blackness and can present cultural truths and stories without explaining that they are racial themes or cultural stories. That's the main complaint that I have about a lot of these black content. Everything has to be overly complicated, overly this is a racial story and we're going to explain to you everything. Like a good creativity, you put it on the screen and the messages come through. And you don't have to be overly explained. You don't have to write everything out. I'm gonna say something on that separately. You don't have to write everything out. The viewer can pick up what you're putting down because you've told a good story. You've told a good story. And when you tell a good story, the reader will follow you along, right? You don't have to dictate everything to the reader. I actually feel like that's bad art. If you have to dictate everything to me, then your creativity is not what you think it is. the reason, one of the main reasons I think that Sinners is doing so well, besides it just being really well done, is just that you can watch, and I'm sure, and white people, listen, I have seen a lot of y'all on TikTok really picking up some of what is being laid down. So I'm not, I'm giving y'all that credit. This is not a shade. I have seen a lot of white people who have seen this movie on TikToks and the Instagrams doing the breakdowns, and y'all really are picking up on a lot of shit. So good for y'all. But there are a lot of white people who will go in and watch this movie and just think that it's a vampire movie about, vampires in the South and they had to get through the night, blah blah blah. They will not pick up on any of the stuff, the many layers of things that are in this movie. That shit will go totally over their head. I already know, and I think that is what makes this movie so good, because you can just go in there and you can just enjoy it as a vampire movie and not. I think you are missing the genius of it if you do that. But hey, a ticket is a ticket, and a box office is a box office. So that's the first thing. The second thing I said, I was like, I cannot stand. If y'all listen to this, y'all know I'm the leader of the band, but like, I just want to be entertained. I don't want everything to be deep. I don't want everything to be an essay. I don't want everything to be, film school shit, college breakdown. Sometimes I just want to be entertained, right? And so I said when I saw this movie that I was not. I'm sitting there watching the movie and I'm picking up everything Ryan is putting down. And actually, not everything. Most of the things. Some other people pointed some stuff out to me that I didn't even notice. But I was like, I am not going to think piece this movie to death. If people want to start discussing, their interpretations and their analysis, I'll join into that. But I'm not about to have no diatribe on this movie. So, um, keep that in mind as we go through this, because there's a lot there if you really want to pick at it. I think some of y'all been picking at it a little too much, but overall, I want y'all to keep in mind it's a movie. It's about vampires, so it's fantasy above all else. So keep that in mind, because I think some of the analysis is kind of skipping over that. like, yo, well, she blah blah blah. I'm like, that's a perfectly normal reaction when you confronting vampires. Like, let's everybody step out our brains for a little bit, and let's keep that in mind. It is a movie about vampires, right? So, um, it's where do I start? So I really, like I said, it's been about 2 weeks, and there's been a lot of analysis back and forth on the line about the different characters and their motivations. Smoke and Stack, I think pretty much everybody. I don't think their motivations or what they did was so hard to understand and need a whole lot of analysis. Like they come down from, they have been gone. So they fought in World War I. They left Mississippi, fought in World War I. They're veterans. They went up to Chicago. They were working for Al Capone and stole some money from Al Capone and made it look like. So if you don't know anything about Al Capone in Chicago, it was Al Capone ran the Italian mafia, and there was this other guy that ran the Irish mafia called Dean O'Bannon. That's what they were going back and forth. That's what the whole Chicago Wars was about. The Capone was fighting the Irish fighting Capone. So they robbed Capone and made it look like the Irish did it, and sped away to back home to make this juke joint. And I mean, there was just little pearls. I mean, from the time the movie started, there were little pearls, like talking about how. So they meet up with their cousin Sammy, who's a blues singer, or who's a church. They call him church boy. His dad is the preacher down there. He's the preacher's kid, but he plays, the blues. He goes at night and plays the blues, and that's just the worst thing he could ever do. That's why older black religious people they'll call like what we call secular music. That my grandmother used to do that too. Not just black either. I think maybe. No, I don't know. But my grandmother used to call it blues music. Like, turn off that blues music. That means anything that's not gospel, right? So they meet up with Sammy, and they tell him they're gonna open this juke joint. And Sammy's like, well, this is Mississippi, 1932. He's like, but y'all went up to Chicago, that big city, everything up there, hand of milk and honey. Why would y'all come back down here to Mississippi? I want to go to Chicago. I'm trying to get out. Why y'all come back in? Basically, the gist. And they like, look, racism. They basically was like, and another theme in this is the Great Migration. I don't think it's as big as that big, but it is mentioned because Smoke and Stack both say they like, man, look, racism is the white man is basically, they say the white man is the white man everywhere, and it's as much racism up north as it is down here. It's just a little different down here. So we decided to come back down here because we rather deal with the devil we know. We know how racism works down here, and I get that because that's what I say about people talking about, oh, we gonna leave America, we gonna go here, and I'm like, they hate black people everywhere in the world. Black people are gonna be a problem wherever we go, except maybe Africa, but sometimes even there. And at least here in America, I know how this shit work, and I'd rather deal with the devil I know. So I get that, So they come down, and that's the plot. They open this juke joint. So they buy the juke joint from the Klansmen, and that this is what starts it all. But look, go see the movie. I'm not going to go into the plot. What I really want to talk about, and what I think is really great about this movie, and what I really appreciate about this movie, is the role and the characters of the women. There are three main women in this movie. Mary, who is I don't even know what the proper racial term is, but her grandmother, basically her mother was mixed. So her grandmother was black, her mother's mixed, so she's quarter, right? But she presents as a white woman. She looks like a white woman. Think she passing. I'm gonna go into that as a white woman, right? That's Mary. And Mary's story is that she grew up in Clarksdale with them. So like I said, her mama was the midwife, and so she grew up with Stacking and Smoke. Smoke actually killed their daddy for abusing them, and so they went to live with Mary's mom. So they grew up together, and her and Stack were sweet on each other. And then there's Annie, who is Smoke's baby mama, but they lost the baby. I'm assuming before Stack went off for the war. Seemed like, yeah, it had to be because she made him the power. So before he went off to the war, I guess they had a baby. The baby didn't make it. So Annie is the voodoo lady, the hoodoo lady, the roots worker. That's what they call. My grandma from South Carolina, they call it roots. They ain't really call it voodoo. But Clarksdale is close to Louisiana. But she the roots lady. That's what we call her. And then there is Grace, who is the Asian merchant in Clarksdale. Grace and her husband and her child, they work in Jim Crow South, and they sell goods to white people, of course, but they also sell it to the coloreds, to the black people. And there's a history. This is a movie where if you don't, black or white, if you don't know your history, you're going to miss a lot of stuff. And we know white people don't know history, and it's a whole lot of black people that don't know y'all history either. But you're going to miss stuff. But my wife leaned over to me, and she was like, as soon as they saw Grace in them, she was like, see, this is when the Asians knew they were on the same level with us. They don't know that no more. They think they're better than us. And I just thought that was a great observation, because it's going to come into play a whole bunch of times. All right, so I want to start with Mary, because I feel like Mary is the easiest. So look, a thing that annoys me a whole lot, and this might offend some of y'all, sorry, but I cannot stand people. There's people from the South. Y'all swear that, and I understand the South and the North is different, but y'all swear that the black people I'm talking about, y'all swear that the culture and stuff that y'all do down there is so unique, and nobody else does it, and nobody can understand it unless you're from the South. And I'm here to let y'all know that's bullshit, because everybody black in this country emanates from the South. The Great Migration was all the black people pouring out of the South. So we took the language, we took the food, we took the culture, we took the manners, we took all that up north with us. It is not new to us. Now, maybe these younger generations that didn't used to go back down south, maybe, but I can't stand when y'all act like y'all some kind of special Negro and nobody understands anything unless they from the South. I'm from Philadelphia, PA, been born and raised. My daddy is from the South, my grandmama's from the South, my grandmama on my other side is from the South, been to the South plenty of times. Like, your culture is not as unknown as you think, okay? Mary, up north, down south, there have been Marys, okay? Super light skin, white presenting, because a lot of you don't know the difference between white presenting and white passing, because like I said, you don't know your history because you're so traumatized or trauma porn and can't watch anything from that time to learn anything, and then you don't listen to your older folks because you think they don't know anything because they, we're not our ancestors and all that shit. So you end up sounding really dumb, really ignorant, and really disconnected from your roots, and that's how we get somebody like Trump, because you have so many black people who think it's one way and think that they are above and beyond things, and that thing is right around your neck just like it's everybody else's, and it's getting tighter and tighter by the day, because you cannot forget your history, you cannot forget where you come from, and you can never think that these crackers are ever going to be off your backs. Okay? Mary is a character that everybody knows. All right? My mama might have been a Mary for all I know. Character that everybody knows. Presents white, mixed Creole. Well, in my family it's Creole, whatever you want to call it. I know that there are a whole bunch of light-skinned people in Maryland, Virginia, North Carolina, all up and down the coast, because slavery was what? An atrocity. And what happened in slavery? A whole lot of rape. Okay, a whole lot of slave masters and overseers raping black female slaves, and that's how you get a whole bunch of light-skinned blacks, particular. I'm not saying there's not light-skinned people everywhere, but I'm just saying they're along the coast in certain pockets, typically where there was serious slavery. So you got Maryland, you got Virginia, you're gonna get a lot of very light-skinned. I mean, if you look at the picture of Plessy versus Ferguson, look at the Plessy guy that they said was so Negro he had to get out of the white car. That man, and it's not the picture that everybody thinks, it's another picture actually. And if you go to the African American Museum, they have the real picture of this man. It would be somebody nowadays that y'all would say was white or was white passing. Like, he was very light skinned. It is known. Okay. The history of America is white people and black people. All these other immigrants and shit, the Latinos and everything that come in now, like we've been saying with this election, y'all come in and y'all try to think that this shit is different, but it's not. The history of this country is white people, black people, Asians, Native Americans, but we know what happened to Native Americans and back in the day. It was only till very recently that all these other new ones, again, after the Civil Rights Act in 1965, that all y'all new folks came in. But there's a whole hundreds of years of history before that you guys want to ignore and act like you don't know. There was a Mary in every neighborhood. It's like why we tell you quote fingers, biracial people get on my nerves, because y'all act like now that the white girls are having their Jadens, y'all just act like y'all just this new species, baby. It's been mulattoes and octoroons and quadroons and black people that look like white people. That's why they have the one drop rule going way back. The reason why y'all don't know about it is because under segregation and Jim Crow, you Katie, were not allowed to be with a black man and have your baby. If you did, you were ostracized from your community. Okay, if them black boys that mess with them white women, they got strung up from trees, and your baby got thrown into an orphanage or dropped off over at Niggertown, if they had some mercy, dropped over with the black people, and that's how you grew up. Okay, that's why black people, we are never confused. We always know our people. We always see our people. We can tell when somebody is black because that is our history. That is our culture. Mulattoes and all of that, they have always been raised amongst us as family, welcomed by us. It is white people that have excluded. It is white people who like I said, the one drop rule and the nigger babies, and that's been y'all. Okay, so Mary is not fucking new to us. She's not strange to us. We all know Mary, and that's why I like the scene where Remick, the Irish vampire. I'm not going to go through the plot with y'all. Y'all just got it. If y'all ain't seen it already, y'all probably ain't going to know what I'm talking about. But Remick, when he comes to the door and he's basically trying to get him and them three crackers trying to get in, and they say, they kindly tell him, hey, this a black Jew going down the road. There's plenty of, y'all can go do that Irish stepping banjo, dry fucking ass music down at the white club. There's plenty of places up. Keep walking down the road. You'll find places. And he looks, because Mary is standing in the back, and he looks and like, what about her? Because he thinks she's white. And they all like, she in here because she family, because they know that she's not. Love that scene. That's one of them scenes, though, I don't know if white people will pick up on because they probably like perfect example of how they treated Kamala Harris. White people just could not understand how she could call herself a black woman when she looks like she looks because her father's black. That's how. And in the racial system that y'all set up, if you got a black parent, if you got one drop of black blood, use a nigga. That's the system that y'all set up. They don't care if the other half is white, other half Indian. If you got, especially if you got a black father, because it's called paternity. So if you got a black father, you for sure was black. But y'all just was so confused. I didn't even know she's black. Well, we know you don't know she's black because y'all don't know anything about the fucking history of this country other than what you tell yourselves. But she's not unusual. Kamala's not unusual. We see that shit all the time. It is not strange to us. So Mary. Mary is actually one of my favorite characters, and I feel like Mary was misread by a lot of people. Again, I feel like Mary is a character that a lot of people are just projecting their own bullshit on, and I can't stand when movies like this come out and they're so intentional in what they are trying to convey, and the message that they are trying to give comes over. It's done so well, and people still seem to miss it because they're just projecting what they want to project onto them. Because people were, I heard, oh, Mary's a traitor. How is Mary a traitor? Mary is a victim just like everybody else. Mary, oh my God, it was so much that is so great in that movie. But you gotta know what you're looking at, okay? And you have to be a shout out to Chels. I was listening to Chels from the Gridiron Girls podcast, and she said this, what I be wanting to say. She said it's so great. She was like, a lot of you, things go over your head and you miss things and you don't get the plot of things and you don't get the meanings of things and you're not able to fully comprehend what is being put in front of you because you don't read enough. You have to read books, not them nonfiction, the power, Sun Tzu and all that nonsense, Hotep nonsense, real books. You have to read fantasy. You have to read fiction. You have to read mystery. You have to read shit you don't like Hemingway. All that, I can't stand Hemingway, but you had to read them to get familiar with how different people tell stories, different themes, different contexts, different characters, how certain themes are translated by different writers, how people's race and culture differentiate how they tell stories, the stories they tell. Like Toni Morrison famously said, I don't. Why do you think that I'm not writing a universal story just because I am not centering a white person? White people are not centered. White people are not the majority in the world. The majority in the world is the rest of us. And we can tell stories forever and days and days and days that don't include any of you. And that does not mean that it's not a mainstream story. So you have to read different perspectives, okay? And that is how you learn to pick up on stuff. That's how you learn stuff like foreshadowing. Stuff like that's how you can figure out things without everything having to be specifically said or spelled out for you, because you have the knowledge where you have read and you can pick up things on your own because you are literate and you're culturally literate, okay? And a lot of you are clearly do not read, and you don't read enough because time after time, movie after movie, program after program, you are just missing so much and you are going so left field because you're just projecting what your opinion onto something that is not what this person is. That is not what the message here was. And I'm not saying that there's only one message and you can't get other things out of it. You certainly can, but you really need to foremost get what's written on the page. In basketball, we said you can't start riffing until you learn the fundamentals. Nobody wants to see you dribbling all around the court until you learn the fundamentals. And a lot of you really don't have the fundamentals, but you're trying to go in and analyze. And this whole thing with Mary was very simple. Mary looks white. Passing is a thing that black people who looked to the eye to white people, because passing is not for black people. Passing is not to fool black people, because you can't fool black people. We always know ourselves. We can see ourselves in other people. We always know ourselves. You cannot fool us. It is to fool white people because white people do not have the cultural competency, most of them, to understand or even know or even care to know about how deep cultures outside of theirs run. They think that theirs is they're superior, and the way they do it is the way it's done, and nobody else can does anything and can get by with anything that they don't know about. And so because of that, for centuries, excuse me, for centuries in this country, you've had black people who have passed. Pass is an active thing. It does not mean that you just appear white. Mariah Carey, to a lot of you, not to me, but to a lot of you, y'all claim when she first came out, y'all thought she was white. Okay, so you thought she looked white. But as soon as Mariah Carey opens her mouth or cavorts herself in any way, you know that she is not white. So she is not passing. She will get clocked as not white anywhere she fucking goes. That's why Tommy Mottola was so adamant that she should not be around these rappers, because these rappers going to oh shit, they gonna realize you a nigga. You know what I'm saying? Like, it is an active thing that a person chooses to do. If you appear white, you can go into the white world and you can move. And a lot of people pass right on into the white world. They marry white men, white women, never said nothing, had the white kids, and next thing you know, they're white. And that's why a lot of white people in this country would be surprised they take their DNA test and would only be 1 or 2 generations before a nigga will fall out your tree. You'd be surprised. A lot of shit happened in slavery. A lot of shit happened after slavery. You would be surprised, okay? Mary is passing. She willingly presents herself, like they said, on the colored platform in Mississippi. And when she was in, she married whoever she married and went to Arkansas. And in Arkansas, she was living as a white woman. That's why when Sammy saw her, Sammy had never seen Mary before. He told Stack that a white woman was staring at him. Stack said, "What you talking about?" Turned to watch and saw Mary and was like, "Oh, that ain't no white woman." And Sammy was like confused as fuck. Like, what you mean? Because she looked white to Sammy. She was standing on the colored platform. A lot of people missed that. Or if they missed it, they seem to be confused by what it meant. And that's exactly what it meant. Ryan was trying to show you what passing is. When Mary was in Arkansas, she was a white woman. She looked white. She appeared white. Nobody would not have known that she was white. But she grew up in Clarksdale, where they knew that her mama was mixed and her grandmother was black. So one drop rule, she is black. She can't stand on that white platform in Clarksdale because they would tell her to get her black ass off and go over to the colored platform. So that's where she was. You have to know a little something to pick up on that, though, because in Clarksdale, they knew that Mary was not white, okay? That is very important, though, in the scene where Mary, so the Remick and them, they come and they trying to get in. Annie the root worker, her antennas are up immediately. She just is like, something about them, they don't look right. So they want to come in because this is a juke joint. Sammy's in there singing, so there's a lot of symbolism here. But the main thing is, here come these white people. And they would, and they hear us inside being black and being joyous in Jim Crow, even though y'all done did everything y'all can to beat us down and take away our dignity, but we just still are able to be us. And they want to come in and, oh, we got money. So you want to come in and you want to participate in our culture and you want to pay us. And look, I ain't got to tell the story if you don't know, but he's trying to, what that scene is symbolizing and what those vampires are symbolizing are the vampires on our culture. Basically, white people coming in, they don't want to, they just want to participate in our joy. They don't want to share in our pain, or they don't even want to identify with the pain. Just, they want to come in there so they can feel cool, so they can play with us, and then they want to leave, right? So they come to the door. They had the money. Stack and Smoke are trying to make this juke joint work. They got the money that they stole from Capone, but they need to make a profit. And so there's, a little issue because some of the people that are coming in are playing in wooden nickels, because back then, if you worked on a plantation, worked in a lot of these companies, they called you in what's called company script. That could basically only be spent at the company store, right? So it's not cash. So it's presenting a problem because Smoke, he's, he like, man, we can't be taking these wooden nickels and shit. And Annie and Stack are like, Smoke, come on, this is what people get paid with down here. This, you want the people to come in and say they can't give you what they ain't got, basically. So when the vampires show up to the door with this gold, it presents a dilemma because the gold is money, right? They don't know at the time how old this gold is because Remick apparently, um, I I I googled it because the story that Remick tells about when he's trying to like ingratiate himself and trying to convince them to come outside, he's telling them that he can relate to black people because we were stolen from Africa, our land was and brought here, and our language, our religion, everything was stripped from us, and we had the white shit put on us. And he says he can understand that because the English came to Ireland and took his land and basically colonized them, and that happened about 1,000 years ago. It's like around 1200. So Remick is a really old vampire because that is the first time that the British came to Ireland was about that time. It's like a little bit after. Well, it was post battle. It was like 1200, 1300. In that time period, right? So he's really old. So he's trying to get in. They send him away. So they, walk away after they had picked Mary, after they had picked Robin clean. Hey man, that pick Robin clean was a little bit of a jam. I ain't gonna lie. They went to pick Robin clean. I was like, all right, I'll tap my foot a little bit. Stack cracked me up in that scene too, because he was nodding his head. That's I'm a Stack type nigga. So anyway, so that scene is great for many, many reasons because let me stick to Mary. So Mary says, let me go outside and talk to them and see what they really on. Because they, Annie was like, nah, something ain't right about them. Nah, we good. Y'all can keep it when we ain't trying, we don't know y'all. No offense, but go down to the White Club. We ain't doing all that banjo playing shit in here, right? So Mary's like, all right, let me go talk to him. So they all agree. All right, yeah, go out and see what's up. Because, if they could bring money. So Mary goes outside, and right before she steps across the threshold, they all give her a nod. What that symbolized is that Mary has done that for them many times because she is white presenting. So if you know anything about, again, what is passing? Passing is you send the person, if you have a person in your family who is not black or who can fool white people into thinking they are white, then you send them out because they first of all, if you go out as a black person, they're gonna disrespect you, gonna be getting called all kind of niggers, they're gonna cheat you, they're gonna charge you more. But if you have somebody that you can send out, basically the phrase we use is to get the land. Because post Reconstruction, if you wanted to go buy land, you're not gonna send a black person because they're gonna cheat them. You send hey, go get the land for us. Sometimes it was an actual white person, an ally, a real ally that you could send out. Hey, please go get the land, sign it over, and they will go do it. So that's what we say when we say, well, we can send them to get the land. Basically, we can send them to negotiate with white people. The white person will not know that they are dealing with black people, so they will treat them fairly. They won't try to fuck them over like they fuck us. So that's what they are sending Mary out to do because Remick and them don't know Mary. So they don't know that she is not, they think that she is white. And what that also tells you is Mary has done that for them before because Mary is white presenting. So even in Clarksdale, even though they know that she has some black, she's still white presenting. So they send her out to talk to the white people. And Mary thought that they were white. So she was like, okay, I'm going to go do that thing. They give her a little nod. Mary steps out. But what this scene is great to me, though, is because it shows that, number one, Mary did that all the time. Number two, that's how things got done. But it also showed how Mary, as somebody who is used to serving that function and used to being around black people in a not predatory or curiosity type of way, also did not recognize that those people were not who they said they were. Annie saw it, but Mary didn't. Mary was perfectly comfortable going out there with them white people because she thought they were just white people. She didn't know they was just vampires. She didn't know they were a danger, right? And so that's why she turned her back on them when it didn't work out. And Mary was funny to me because Mary, again, the back and forth of Mary, how she passes white, but when certain shit you knew she wasn't like when Mary was like, "I'll beat every bitch ass in here," and when she first walked up the stack on the platform, that Ryan was showing, hey, this is a person that can move in both worlds. That's what passing is. You can move in both worlds. You can go talk to the white folks and they think you white folks, but you can come back to the black people where it's your home and you know that world too. That's what Mary was showing with that. When I beat everybody in here. When she first came in the place, and Sammy was like, "Hey, you can't come in here just for family." And she looked at him, and she was like, "Move out the way." And he was like, "I'm with the twin." She was like, "Boy, if you don't get the fuck out my face," like stuff like that shows that Mary can move in both worlds. Where she fucked up at is she turned her back on the vampires, and that's when they got her, because she didn't recognize them as a danger, right? She just going to do what she always do, which is negotiate on behalf of family with the white folks. So that's what that was. So all the people who think Mary was a bad guy, I don't understand where you get that from. Mary was trying to help. Mary was trying to, quote, go get the land. Let me go see what these people are talking about. And then when she saw that they was on the bullshit with the slob and all that, I don't know why that didn't set her off, but it didn't. Who knows? I guess back in 1932, niggas had all kind of shit, so maybe that, maybe it wasn't that unusual. But when she saw that they was on bullshit, she turned her back and was gonna go back to family, and that's when, Mary got caught up, right? So that's Mary. Like, Mary was not the bad guy. Mary was a victim also, and that just was really to show how black people, one of the ways that we had to navigate white people, and it was not unusual. Everybody black, I guarantee you, especially if they come again from, I don't know about the deep South, I'm sure it happened there too, but slavery in the deep South was a little more strict, and they in Mississippi, so, she had to go to I think he said Arkansas, which is another state over. That's another thing that I thought was cool, or that I noticed. So nowadays, with everything so interconnected, and how it is, you can't just go like to Arkansas and have a new life. But back then you could, like, back, you could go from Clarksdale to New Orleans and a whole new life, and nobody in New Orleans would ever know you was from Clarksdale. So that was, she was in Arkansas, she could be a whole nother person, because nobody in Arkansas would ever know anybody in Clarksdale. So I thought, that point was made well. But that anybody in, again, my family, my mom's side is from Louisiana originally, and then Maryland, Eastern Shore specifically, and down like Southern Maryland area, I guess, but Virginia, North Carolina, where what's Steph Curry and them. You see Steph Curry's mom, people that look like that type of Creole look to me. I don't know if they're Creole, but that what I call Creole look, they are all in the Carolinas, all in Virginia, all in Maryland, all in Louisiana, anywhere where you had robust slavery and you had people like Thomas Jefferson and all of them fucking mating with their slaves. You get that type. Now, not everybody can pass. Mary was white presented. There's some other folks that, they might be light skinned, but they can't necessarily pass, right? But that was Mary. Like, I think Mary was like the most simplest to understand. People who think she was the bad guy, I don't get it. I just think you're projecting your own bullshit, because she definitely was not. And she came back in to get Stack because she wanted Stack, because that was the love of her life, as she cussed him out on the platform and was like, "Well, I thought you changed your mind, right?" Somebody said Mary's the type to come down to your job. Mary was a hot, I don't know. She was not no wilting flower, right? So the second character I want to talk about is Annie. And I love Ryan for this, because Annie's character, first of all, I just want to say, everybody's talking about Wunmi Masaka's beautiful. Yes, she is. I've been on Wunmi since she was on goddamn Lovecraft Country, doing the nasty with Christina / Christina brother. I thought that was genius how they did that too, because that was very queer and very gay, but not, I loved it. But anyway, I've been on her since then. Even when they had her in them tight civil rights curls and them dresses, couldn't hide it, right? So, Annie's character was really the heart of the film, if you notice. And I love Ryan for that, because I know, like, during the campaign with Kamala Harris and everything, all this shit about, oh, women can't lead and women can't be leadership. And people was like, look, maybe on the white side, that's what y'all do. But in the black community and black American community, black women run the whole house. It might be the mama, it might be grandmama, it might be auntie. It's somebody in that house that is a black woman that runs the entire show. And that was Annie. Because you notice when them vampires came to that door, first of all, it was one band, one sound. We need to get back to that. We got too many of you fucking contrarian, think you know it all niggas nowadays that always want to fucking argue and always want to have the devil's advocate. And that's why we can't get no fucking where. Back in the day, it was one band, one sound. When Annie stepped up to that door and said, do not let them in, nobody questioned it. Nobody questioned it, and they let Annie handle it, and that's shown perfectly in the scene with Cornbread. Poor Cornbread. I don't know why Cornbread had to go out so far to go to the goddamn bathroom. I guess he was trying to be nice, don't want to be pissing up against the Jew, but anyway, they got Cornbread. So when Cornbread comes back and he's trying to get in, because if you don't know, because everybody was like, what's the thing with entering? Vampire lore, generally, you have to invite vampires in, and it goes back to the old, I guess, religious thing that you have to invite evil in. Evil cannot enter unless it is invited. And so that's where the old I guess story that you have to invite, a vampire cannot enter your premises unless you let them in, because you have to invite evil in. So that was the whole thing of why they had to be invited in. We cannot cross this threshold unless we are invited in, right? So when Cornbread is trying to get in, and Annie's like, why you know, because Annie already hit. Annie thought they was Haints, but then I forgot what happened when she figured out they was vampires. It was Stack. It was when Mary got Stack. And so she's like, well, why you gotta be invited in? You been in and out all night. You'd about now all of a sudden you gotta be invited in, because she knew. And then Cornbread, because the thing about once they turned into a vampire with Remick, they were all hive mind, right? So each one of them had knowledge from the other one. And so Remick's now you can tell he's trying to, okay, I got some of them now, so I could use the culture. I could get in, because I could talk the talk. Like a lot of white people tend to think they could use our slang. They call it slang, but you sound stupid because it's not slang. It's African American vernacular English, and it has a rule. And if you don't know how to use it, you sound dumb, and that's different than slang. And a lot of you throw a lot of slang words together, and so that's what that scene was like. The thing about telling Annie that her grease was bad. Like, Annie was like, oh, I know you are undead now, because I ain't never used no grease. What the fuck you talking about? Like, he was trying to pull what black thing can I say that's gonna get me in here, right? And the thing that Ryan did that I loved is when Cornbread saw, because Remick is the white man, is trying to use Cornbread to gain entrance. So he's trying to, like I said, pull on what black thing can I say? I got the black way. He gonna let them in. So when he's not getting anywhere with Annie, he tries to turn and talk to Smoke, talk to the man, right? Because that's how y'all niggas do. Oh, I'm not gonna talk to women, I'm gonna talk to man. Annie said, don't talk to him, you talking to me. And nobody objected. Not Smoke, not none of them. They all stood there silent, because Annie was in control, because black women run the fucking house. Okay? Black women run the fucking house. And they might you, like my grandma said, he might be the head, but you be the neck. So if you think the man run the house, I guarantee you, he ain't doing shit. That happy wife, happy life, or whatever, he ain't doing shit until it's clear with Annie, because Annie clearly is the one that's calling the shots there. Okay? Because when he said that, ain't nobody say nothing. And they knew that was something was wrong with that, because Cornbread would have known that he had to get past Annie. You can't just talk to Smoke. You got to get past Annie. And I thought that scene was great. I thought it was very subtle, and I have not heard anybody discuss it because I know niggas ain't pick up on it, but that's what that was. Like, all that shit, y'all can say all the shit y'all want to about women can't lead and can't no woman tell you what. Women been telling you what to do all your life. Your mama, your auntie, your grandmoms, all them niggas that y'all talking shit about their head, wear their bonnets and wear their hair. White Big Mama runs the house, and I thought that was great. And Annie was the one in charge. Nobody questioned Annie because Annie knew what to do. Annie knew they was vampires, not haints. Annie knew about the garlic. Annie knew how to keep them out. Annie was great, and I thought Annie and Smoke's relationship was nice because, now don't get me wrong, Wumi Masaka is beautiful, but they were trying to play her down. They were trying to play her as basically not the light-skinned white girl that Stack liked, white cool fingers white girl that Stack liked. She was like a real, down home, barefoot root worker woman. So I liked that. Also, Annie, she basically, even at that scene, remember when they had turned Stack and Stack was behind the door and Smoke really wanted to open the door, and you could tell he wanted to open the door, and Annie kept saying, Smoke, don't do it. And every time they wanted to check, they would look at Annie, and Annie was like, no, and he didn't open the door. They fucking listened. They listened. Nobody questioned. They followed directions because Annie was in charge. And I just love that. I love that. So, that brings me to Grace. Grace is the character that I have disagreed with y'all's analysis on the most. Now, I understand what it was a lot of things with Grace. First of all, like my wife said, they realized that's when so back in the day, before everybody got brand new and forgot where they came from. Okay, it was two main, and we're not talking about the Native Americans because we know they got hosed. And we're not really talking about the Mexicans because that was more in the West, and that Mexican-American War was later, right? The main groups that were in America in any majority, not saying no other people were here, but it was the slaves, which were the outnumbered everybody, and the Asians. Asians had been here very early. Asians built the railroads. Asians have been here a very long time. Long enough that there was an Asian Reparation Act basically wanting to kick them out the country. Okay, and a lot of Asian people don't even know that. They don't know their history because they come from other places, and these POCs come over here and they think the way to be American is to snuggle up under white people and deny who they are and don't want to see color and against affirmative action and all the shit y'all trying to put on Grace. And so they don't know that history either. But we know the history, okay, of Asians and blacks, right? And the thing that I like that showed is just like my wife said, you saw how the Asians and the blacks was basically on the same level as far as the white people went. Yeah, you had a store, but they were treating Asians like shit too. They just using them for their store. And I noticed in the movie, people pointed this out. Grace worked on the white side and her husband worked on the black side. Now, I took Grace's actions later, not the way y'all took it from that. People were trying to say that showed that Grace was really trying to assimilate and be a part of the white community, and her husband was more so on the black side. I guess that could be an interpretation, and maybe that's what he was trying to say, but I didn't really take it like that. I took it like Grace is the one that is fronted to the white people. Grace is the one dealing with them every fucking day, calling her Ching Chong Chinaman and probably disrespecting her too, because make no mistake, they were not very respectful for the Asians either. Everybody was a nigger to them back in the day. The Latino, if you wasn't white, you was black to them. And that's what we keep trying to tell y'all nowadays. So I didn't take it as Grace was the assimilationist, I took it as Grace was about her business. Grace ran the business. She knew they had to serve both sides. Her husband came across as the more black one, clearly, and so she dealt with the white people. She dealt with the white people and all the shit that comes along with that. I didn't take it as any of Grace's actions, and I didn't think I see the point that y'all are making, and I don't disagree that is an interpretation. I just didn't take it that way. I'm going to tell y'all why. And I don't think that that's what the intention was. And I'm going to tell y'all why. Sorry. Getting a little dry voice here. So we get to the night, and they all have figured out now that, they're vampires outside. We can't let them in. Grace, the mermaid comes to the door, and he speaks to Grace in her native language and say some nasty shit to her, because this is after, oh Lord, it's so many of them went outside just before they could figure out what's going on and just got ate the fuck up. So Grace's husband, they want to leave because they did the signs for the juke. So they bring the sign. And then when they see all this fuckery and shenanigans going on, not really sure what's going on, they want to leave. And Grace is like, look, we came here to speak these signs. We didn't come here for this. And people took that as, oh, that's when, our POCs desert black people. Yeah, okay. But like I said, it's a movie, and I think some of y'all are doing a little too much. At this point, Grace has realized, they have all realized that they dealing with vampires. So Grace is like, hey, bruh, this was supposed to be the juke joint. We were supposed to come do the signs, make a little money. This some vampire shit. We got to go. I don't think that there needs to be any more than that. Yes, you can say this is when the allies leave, but I don't think Grace is fucked up for that. I don't think nobody is fucked up for that. Hey, man, we getting the fuck up out here. Like, the fuck is this? Y'all need to leave too. And if you recall, all right, I'm getting ahead of myself. Hold on. So what happens is her husband goes out to get the car. He gets ate up by the vampire. So now he a vampire, right? So he come back to the door, and he tells, so they come back to the door with Remick and shit. And now they talking to Grace in Chinese and talking nasty to her. And then Remick tells her that, hey, your daughter is still in town. We here trying to get in here, but at some point we gonna go get the rest of the vampires. We just gonna make everybody a vampire. We're just gonna come back, and your daughter's gonna be one of them. And when he said that, Grace was like, "Oh hell no! All bets are fuck that. You got my husband already. I see he a vampire. Now you gonna about to go get my daughter? Oh no, fuck that." So that's when Grace is like, "Yo, I'm gonna leave." They hold Grace back. A lot of y'all forgot this part. Grace tried to leave, and they pulled her back and said, no, stay here. They were trying to get her to stay. We just got to get through the night. Don't go out there, I don't think that's a reasonable demand to make on Grace. I understand that we all want to stay in here, but like everybody in here ain't got nobody outside that they give a fuck about. Grace do, except for Cornbread, but I mean, yay. Except for Grace. My husband gone, but my daughter's still out there. And I'm not finna stay in here while them motherfuckers out there and go get my daughter. I got that from Grace. And I don't have kids or nothing like that. I got that from Grace. And that was fine. I didn't have no issue with that. People talk about, well, she got to sacrifice this. They never want to sacrifice for. I got to sacrifice my fucking daughter to some fucking vampires to show I'm down with y'all. Fuck y'all. Sorry, I don't think Grace was wrong for that. And people said that because she invited them in, that's how allies, that's fake allyship, because when the shit got rough, she invited them in. I don't think that was fake, because to me, if Grace had invited them in and then ran out the doors like as a distraction to try to save her child, then that would have been a fake allyship. But Grace was dead ass. Grace was ready. She got that fucking Molotov cocktail and that knife and was like, come on in, bitch. She was ready to fight. That's not fake to me. Grace was dead ass. Grace was like, yo, I'm not about to stay in here while they go get my daughter and turn her into a fucking vampire. And y'all talking about we only got one night in here. No, nigga, because we got every night after that. They're going to go, like he said, to get the rest. And I'd rather go out on my own terms. That's how I took Grace. And I took that. It reminded me of with these tariff shit when the little Chinese president was on the TikTok and was like, hey, China is 5,000, however many years old, he said. We're the oldest continuous civilization in the world. We have continued for eons and eons. We don't need America for shit. We ain't need them then. We don't need you now. We ain't gonna need you tomorrow. And I took, what I thought Grace was saying was, look, these motherfucking crackers coming in here trying to take us, trying to eat us. Fuck that. Come in, I'm ready, let's fight. You either gonna take me out or I'm gonna take you out, but I'm not going for the bullshit. Y'all not gonna trap me up in here. Y'all not gonna get my daughter. That's what I got from Grace. And I understood everybody like, yo, if we all, I get what y'all say, if we all just stick together, we'll get through it. But I think that Grace's point was, no, we won't. We won't get through it because we'll get through the night and then they'll be back. Because what we gonna do? Go out in the daytime? Where we gonna go? Like, we gonna have nowhere to go and it's gonna be night again and they'll be back. We need to fucking fight now. We need to make our stand now. We need to fucking assert ourselves now. And if we go out, but we go out on our own terms. We don't. What I took Grace as saying is we don't sell out. We don't go out there. We don't let them bite us on our fucking neck, and we don't turn into that what they want us to turn into, which is like what Remy was explaining. We all the same. It's no this, it's no that. We don't see color type shit. She was like, I'm not surrendering to that. I'm fucking holding the line right here. Fuck that. Come on in and let's dance. Let's do what the fuck we gonna do. But I'm not going for that. That's how I took Grace. I didn't see all this. Oh, that's like the Asians with the affirmative action. I mean, I guess you could say that Grace destroyed the whole community because she couldn't wait and she couldn't hold them down. I can see that. I don't disagree with that necessarily, but I just think it was more than that. I don't really think that that's what it was, because I don't think people said Grace was being selfish and only worrying about herself. I just think Grace was more like them Chinese man. Hey, we don't give a shit about these tariffs. We don't give a shit about all the shit you're trying to do. We not responding to your little goof-ass president like you are. He don't run shit over here. We not bowing down to him. If he wants smoke, it could be smoke. We have had smoke before, and we've been standing for thousands of years, and we're going to be standing for thousands more. We don't give a fuck about what your little president's doing. That's how I interpreted Grace. Perhaps I'm wrong. Perhaps I'm reading too. Like I said, if Grace would have took off running, or if Grace would have been a punk, or if Grace would have like pushed somebody up, I think the fact that Grace was really like, yo, I ain't about to stand here and go through this shit. We just gonna have to fight. Let them in now, let them in later. They gonna come in. Let's do our thing. I thought that that's what the message was. Perhaps I'm reading a bit into it, but I don't think Grace was as wrong as people said. I don't think that I get that Grace could represent POCs who when the shit gets real only worry about themselves. I get that, and I don't think that's incorrect, but I think that that's not all that it was. I think that Grace actually represented the old, like my wife said, the old kind of Asian immigrants that understood where they were in society and understood how they were treated and didn't want to go for it, and would fight back against it, as opposed to these ones we have now that are thinking they white and thinking they're going to be in allegiance with white people and trying to get rid of affirmative action because they swear it's the black people that's blocking them, when lo and behold, now y'all getting in even less because it wasn't us in the first place, because y'all don't know how shit fucking works around here, because y'all weren't here back in the 30s and the 10s and the 50s and the last century, the 19th century, when they was treating y'all like shit too and calling y'all ching chong man and paying y'all in wood nickels and shit. Y'all don't remember that shit. Y'all think y'all some new shit now. That's what I got from it, but I could be wrong. But I don't agree. I see what y'all saying about Grace. I'm not saying it can't be that way. I just didn't agree with it. I didn't see Grace as the bad guy, and I didn't see her letting them all in as necessarily being a fuck everybody act. I saw that as her taking a stand, because my husband is dead and you're not about to get my kid, and if I gotta die trying, then that's what I'm gonna do, because you motherfuckers burn in the sunlight, You know what I'm saying? You motherfuckers burn in the sunlight, and if we get you, we let y'all in here, we somehow manage to kill y'all, or some of us survive, that's the end of y'all. Cause y'all burn in the sunlight. That's how I took it. Okay? So that's my thing on Grace. The other is the other part I love. The other part, listen, them Choctaw baby. First of all, the Choctaw was playing it too close to the sun with me. But I now that I rethink it, I think the Choctaw knew what the Choctaw whooped Rimmick's ass. First of all, they had Rimmick on the fucking run. That motherfucker was top speed flying because he dropped out the sky like fast as fuck. His ass shirt ripped off. His ass was beat the fuck up. Eyes beat in. Smoke coming off his back because it's about to be daylight. Running for his life. Only had three little pieces of gold left because Choctaw probably done whooped his ass and took all he had, chasing his ass, trying to kill him. I think the Choctaw whooped Rimmick's ass. And when they got to that lady's house, and because they chased him to look like probably from sun up because it was sundown, so apparently they chased him all that way. All that time, and they got to the house with them ignorant ass white people, and I thought that scene was great because here go the Native Americans trying to be helpful because this is their land, this is their area of the world, this is their practice, they know what goes on here. But here go y'all white settlers, think they don't know anything, you don't know, get off my fucking porch, and they trying to tell you, and you don't want to listen. So he came to the porch and he was like, ma'am, I'm afraid you let somebody dangerous in your house. She got the shotgun pointed in his face, which a lot of people, look, I don't know if y'all know, but the country back then, America, part of the reason why America has a Second Amendment right and why I believe that we should have a Second Amendment, because y'all motherfuckers live in these cities and modern times real comfortable. But for most of the history, like, all you had, it wasn't no sheriffs and polices. All you had to protect yourself was your gun. So if you wait the fuck out in the middle of nowhere, you got hostile natives around, you got who knows what else, God knows who else around. Like, the only defense you had was your shotgun, and shouldn't nobody be the fuck out here darkening your fucking doorstep that you don't know about. So you swing the door open. What the fuck do you want? Because you don't know. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't think, I think that scene was not as, if you watch a Western, you know that scene is common. But when that Native American, he was like, you let this man in here, he's not who you think. Say, get what you want, get on. And he looked around her and saw the Klan robe. And then his homeboy was like, hey, bruh, the sun coming down. We got to go before it's too late. You done try to help this lady go. He turned and looked. He was like, have a nice day. Try. They come motherfucking Choctaw got the fuck up out of there because the sun was setting and you let a goddamn vampire in your house. That shit, I love that scene because it was so perfect. Like, okay, you don't want our help? Cool. We trying to help you, but hey, go ahead, white lady. You know what I mean? So that scene was great. It was so many. Oh my God. The scene where they are driving past the cotton field. So let me tell you something, man. I looked at that and I say this all the time, but I swear to God, I would not have made it. That cotton was just going on and on and on. And I'm like, in fucking slavery, y'all out there from sun up to sundown in that fucking heat and nothing but cotton. I see why motherfuckers tried to run away. I see why people came north. Like, I don't know what it is up north, but it gotta be better than picking this goddamn cotton, because that shit looked oppressive. I love when they rode past them and the scene in the car where Slim was one of my favorite characters, by the way. Delroy Lindo. When Slim tells the story about the lynching and how fast it happened, and then shows, he's breaking down and he starts banging on his thigh and humming, and then that hum turns into the song. That scene was great because that's showing how fucking blues and rock and roll and jazz and all the shit that black people created, country, where it came from, how we took our fucking pain and our fucking shit that y'all, misery and shit that y'all tried to keep us down with, and turned it into something beautiful, because that's what the fuck we do. I love that scene. It just showed how that transition, again, very subtle. Ryan not beating you over your head. Ryan not explaining everything. He just showing how, with a very simple and subtle scene, how that occurred. He just started banging on his thigh, humming, and the next thing you know, that hum turns into a song, right? Which brings me to the other scene that I really loved. And normally, stuff like this in movies gets on my nerves. Like, I hate when you watching a movie and then they'll do some random artistic shit or some random shit like in the middle of the plot. Like, that's why when I was watching Nickel Boys, I really didn't enjoy Nickel Boys that much because it was trying to be too artsy and trying to do too much, and I just wanted them to tell the story. Just tell the story from the book because it's good enough, and they was doing all this artsy fartsy shit, and I just didn't like it, right? I usually don't like that. But Ryan, that dance scene and that juke, that shit was beautiful, and that shit was amazing because he showed how we brought our culture over with us from Africa. I cannot. And we kept it with us, and we evolved it here, and we adapted it here to this new land and this new situation, but we kept it with us. I hate when people say we don't have no culture, we don't know where we came from, they stripped us of everything. That is not fucking true. There is a reason that Black American culture is the culture that runs the world. Not African culture, not Black British culture, there's not Black Brazilian culture. There are Black people all over the world, true, but there is reason why Black Americans specifically, our culture is the culture that runs the world, and it's because we bought it over here, stolen over here against our will. We weren't immigrants. We didn't come here on purpose. We didn't come here because we wanted to. We were snatched from our land, and we bought over here, and we bought our language, and we bought our food, and we bought our culture, and we bought our music, and we turned it into something totally new here. But it still has roots where we came from, and that's what that scene showed, how the rappers and the bluesmen and the musicians are the griots from Africa who were thought to, if be so powerful and so in tune with whatever's on the other side or whatever's on other worlds, could summon spirits. And like I always say, the reason why I don't really play around with voodoo and all that shit is because you can't believe that there are good spirits and angels and not believe that there are bad spirits. And so they say, because they conjure spirits, and spirits of all kinds. Yes, you bring your ancestors. Yes, you bring the good spirits. Yes, you bring the orishas and all that. Unfortunately, moths, light attracts good things. It also attracts moths and mosquitoes and roaches and shit too, so you bring the bad shit too. But I love that scene because it showed the transition, and it showed all the different ways that we have turned what Slim was doing, banging on his thigh, into Black culture. The different dancers, they showed, I forgot, are those Maasai? I think those are Maasai warriors that do the juke with their feet, and they showed him, and then they showed the kids doing the juking dances they do now. They showed the African West African drum dancers, and they showed the twerking, because I hate when people, they're twerking, that ratchet. It's not ratchet. It's from Africa. It's from our culture. We were not swinging in trees. We were not. We had a whole vibrant. It was so vibrant, and it was so powerful, and it was so strong that it made it across the transatlantic slave trade and survived in a new land, and it took over the entire world. So stop saying that. I hate Black people who have that slave mentality. Well, they stripped us of everything and we didn't know. That's bullshit. You cannot think that we have survived this long and thrived this long with nothing, from nothing. We just took what they gave us and made the bet. No, that's not what happened. No. We preserved what we had, and we hid it from them so that they would know that we were preserving it. Okay, that's what we did. That's what African American vernacular English is, and so that we could communicate with each other right around white folks, and they don't have no fucking idea what we're saying, and they think that we're stupid, and they think they're ignorant, so they like, those silly talking niggas. Yeah, them silly talking niggas is plotting on how to kill your ass. Them silly plotting on how to run away. We plotting how we about to put poison in your fucking food. We plotting on how that's. I can't. Nothing irritates me more than Black people who think that, I don't eat that slave food. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? That is not slave food. We ate those same food in Africa. We ate those same dishes in Africa. We bought what we knew over there and bought it here. They thought the ignorant white man who almost slaughtered all the buffalo because they don't know how to use the whole anything. They thought they was throwing us scraps because, we got the hand, throw the rest. They don't know how to use the whole animal. Africans did. So yeah, we knew how to make chitlins. We knew how to make hog, whatever. I don't really eat the pork like that, but we knew what to do with it because we did it over there. So I love that scene, and I normally don't. I loved it. The DJ scratching showed how they go from the drums to that xylophone thing they play to the DJ scratching. I loved it. Showed the tap dance, showed the ballet dance. It was so great. Even had the little Asian girl in there, and that's why that picture of the Asian dancer is why I said I didn't think that the point of Grace was that she was a sellout, but the point of Grace is that she was not going out like that. Because why, if you just trying to show that Grace is a sellout, why would you pull her ancestor over too? The point of that was to show, hey, Asians also had shit and had culture, and not just what y'all white people think they are here, calling them ching chong Chinaman and doing your eyes and shit. Like, that's not it either. Like, that's what I got, because I was like, why else would you would not, if it was just supposed to be about black people, you would not have had that Chinese dancer in there. That dancer was in there on purpose to show, hey, this is applying to both of our communities, not just ours. Maybe I'm stretching with that, but that's how I took it. Sammy. So this is the other thing that I've been hearing is driving me nuts because it's addressed in the movie. I keep hearing these churchy folks on TikTok and everywhere else talking about that's demon worship. I cannot stand a black person who calls our native religion, the shit we had, the beliefs and practices that we had in Africa for civilizations before those white people came and brought us to this country and forced their Christianity on us. We survived for millennia with our native beliefs. They brought us over here and stripped us of them and went all around the world and colonized and imposed their beliefs on us. I can't stand for it is not devil worship. That's what the white man told you, because the white man don't understand shit. So he see of these root women working these roots and doing all this and praying and they call it devil worship. And also, the thing that also kills me is y'all don't really understand in Christianity, black church, how much of voodoo and hoodoo and root work is already in the church. When you saying prayers, when you manifesting, if you black Catholic, when you eating that way, that's all spells. I know y'all think it's not because y'all think y'all so Christian, but when you are praying, when you lighting candles, when you manifesting, when you putting oil around, that is fucking hoodoo. That is what you are doing. You are just doing it for a cross because the white man told you had to do it for a cross. White people don't worship like that. You don't see white people in their houses spreading oil because they don't have that tradition. They're not bringing that tradition. They bringing a drab ass fucking Christian white shit from Europe. They don't manifest. They don't say prayers. They go to church and that's it. They say they little amen, Hail Mary, that's it. You don't see white people carrying that over. You don't see them honoring ancestors. You don't see them pouring out water. You don't see that because that is our original beliefs that we have meshed into white Christianity. You see it more in the Catholic faith because a lot of voodoo and hoodoo is really intertwined with the saints and all of that. You see it more on the Catholic side, but that's what that is. So when Christians say that shit, it kills me because it's like you ignorant on two fronts. You ignorant of your own religion, and then you ignorant because you have you believe in all this slave master shit about how we doing voodoo and devil work. Nothing about what Annie was doing was devil work. Annie put that patch around Smoke's neck, and it protects Smoke all through the war. It protects Smoke in Chicago, and it protects Smoke against his brother because his brother was not able to harm him because of that pact that Annie put around his neck. And when did he rip it off? When he didn't want protection anymore because Annie was dead, his baby was dead, and he wanted to go to the other side with them. He didn't have no need to stay here because his brother was he had nothing. Annie going, my brother fucking vampire. I don't have no reason to stay here. He made Stack promise he wasn't gonna harm Sammy, so Sammy can have a fucking life, and he left because he's like, I ain't got nothing. There's no reason for me to be here. So he took that fucking pack off, and that's when he went to the other side. Like, shout out to Chels. You gotta read more because if you don't read, you're gonna miss shit, and you're gonna think it's one way when it's the other. Sinners, masterpiece. I'm going to see it again on May 10th. Ryan Coogler. I loved Creed. All the Creeds. I think there's a Creed 4 coming out. I think you are a wonderful director. I think you wanted the best black creator out here, in my opinion. I think your eye is amazing. I think you're very smart, you're brilliant. Like, I could tell that you're a smart guy. I've heard you interview, but I could tell by the way you present the work that you're smart, because you do it in a way, like I said, where it's not beat to death, but if you're and it makes sense. It makes sense because I found out that you were raised by Black Panthers, and I was raised by a former NOI, which is, I know it's not the same, but it's close. Those of us who were raised in households where Black power and Black culture and crackers, ice is whiter, is colder, we're not taught. We have a certain fucking sensibility about us in a certain way, and we tend to know things about Black people and Black culture that these other folks don't know. So when I've read that you were raised by Black Panthers, and I should have knew that from Black Panther, but I didn't. I thought you had just did the work. I didn't did the study. Like, I didn't realize that makes all the sense, because it was so well done, and it was things that were obvious to me, because like I said, if you're raised in that environment where it was Black pride, I'm proud to be Black, this is our history, this is what we did, we don't worry about what they do, all they do is lie, cheat, and steal. They are not better than us, they have not done anything better than you, they have to tilt the field the way they do because they are not superior to you. If you raised in that, you have a certain, I don't know, you got a certain swag about you. That's why I like Stack. You got a certain swag about you, and I see it, and it's great. And I think you are my favorite right now. I think you amazing. You're never gonna hear this, but yo, I like everything you do. I've seen every movie that you've done. All the way back to Fruitvale Station. And you said you're gonna do. I'm just looking forward to it. I think that's amazing. I loved it. I've not enjoyed a movie like that in a long time. And I hope you keep making all the money. They tried to play you with that. Didn't make up didn't recoup in a weekend. Get the fuck out of here. Nigga made like almost half back in one weekend. Like, whatever. We see what it was. But anyway, this has been very long, but I just had to get it. I could have talked about it a lot more, but I just wanted to talk about what I want to talk about. If you haven't seen it yet, please go see it. You got to see it in IMAX. Got to see it in IMAX. If you can't get the 70 millimeter, that's fine, but you got to see it in IMAX. Oh, okay. Actually, I'm not done. This is gonna be real long because I had two other topics. So the other one I want to talk about real quick is, so I don't know if y'all saw somebody on the what do we call the blue skyline? The skyline? Somebody on the skyline posted this. I think it was an IG or a TikTok. I'm not sure. It was some stud and her girlfriend. The girlfriend was graduating college, and she wanted to get up on the number, like the year, to take a picture, and this stud was thick and sturdy. Went to try to pick her girlfriend up and put her on a number, and couldn't get her up there. Couldn't lift her. She dropped her down. Then the dude that was gonna take the picture walks over and puts her girlfriend up on a number. Boy, oh boy. They have been talking about this on Instagram and TikTok since it happened. Baby, no way. No fucking way. You better fucking you better squat down like Jalen Hurts. Whatever you got to do, and put your back and put your thighs and get that girl up on that number, or don't do it at all. But you can never let that man walk. You'd have been single that day. You got to get in the gym, babe. That was embarrassing. And the other thing I want to say though, the girlfriend, I don't give a fuck if you got to kick off, push off, put your foot in my face, put your knee in my nose, whatever the fuck you got to do to help me get you up on that number when you see I'm struggling, you better fucking do it. You better fucking do it. You better not. And when that man came over to try to, you should have been like, no, never mind. Let's just take it on the ground. Never mind. You should never have let that man put you up on that number. Oh my God. Baby, oh, whoever that is, she is never living that down. It's femmes talking about it. It's studs talking about it. It's both ways talking about it. It's gay men talking about it. Like, oh my God, how could you ever let that happen? You knew when you walked over there that you couldn't lift her up. So why would you try it? And I saw it was very. I would have got her up there because I go to gym and I work on upper body specifically for that purpose. I would have got her up there, or I would not have tried it. But oh my God, that was so embarrassing. That I can't. She never living that down. I mean, every fucking body is talking about. When you got straight dudes talking about shorty, you can't let no other man pick your girl. Like you fucked up. You fucked up. And that leads me to my second and last topic. So, we have the toxic barbershop conversation every other month, which I think is a bullshit conversation. But there is one thing that I want to say. So I do not like toxic stud behavior. And what I mean by that, like my barber, he's married, he got a kid, but he one of them dudes, he sits in the barbershop and all day long, oh, that one got a fat ass, this one got a fat, walking back and forth, talking to me, because, he knows I'm gay. And I know he does that because it's a lot of you knucklehead studs that sit out here and engage in that kind of behavior. I am not one of them. I'm not trying to be no snooty up in the air. I like to tell people I am a gentleman because I think that I am, because I was raised by those kind of men. I was raised by and I'm not talking about like even as fallen. I'm just saying the way that people learn from the example set from them, right? Not about what people say, but what they see. And so what I saw coming up, I told you I was raised with my dad, so it's a lot of his friends and stuff around. Plus, my auntie, my uncles, my auntie's husbands, whatever. I was of that I was raised by that generation, the last generation look like, of men who were gentlemen, who, not saying they were saints, but they were gentlemen. Opened doors for women. Helped women put their coat on. Stood up when women came into the room or to the table. Hold the door for women. Let the woman go first. Let the woman, like the Temptations. Treat her like a lady. I was raised by those men. You don't talk that. You don't behave that way in mixed company. Now, I'm not saying they were saying they might have had two families. They might have had the babies on the side. But the point is, they public facing. There was a certain decorum. You don't sit in public and calling women bitches and hoes and basically competing with women for attention. I was the generation that I was raised were not like that. They didn't call women bitches and hoes. They didn't call people baby mamas. Like I said, they held car doors open. They took women out on dates. They paid for everything because it was almost like an insult to fucking have a woman open her wallet when she was in your presence. Like that's who I was raised by, and that's kind of how I operate. I'm again not to say I'm not one of them studs that's gonna sit around. Oh, look at that bitch. Oh, she got a fat ass. I that's, to me, that's tacky and that's low class. Like I don't do that, and I just don't appreciate how it's always assumed that I'm going to engage in that kind of behavior because you knucklehead studs out here think that that's how you supposed to be a man. And that's how I don't like that. I'm not saying, and please don't get me wrong, because I don't like that corny shit either. I don't like that corny queer shit either with the, it's toxic. And I don't like that either. What I'm saying is I'm a gentleman. And it's just certain shit that to me, is tacky. And I wish y'all would stop because y'all thinking, make sure, what up, bitch? Calling everybody. I think as a stud, calling a woman, I think as anybody, calling a woman a bitch is very ignorant and just very low class. But especially as another woman, it's just very It's very distasteful to me, and I don't like to hang out with people like that. I don't like to be around people like that, men or women. I think it's just very low class. I think you can look at the girl out the barbershop and say, oh, she, like, there's so many ways you can complicate a woman without everything about being about how fat their ass is or how she, it's like, first of all, you don't even know how old she is. She might be young, you know what I mean? I just wanted to comment on it because I noticed that there's like this default notion until you correct them that you're going to be doing that. And then I a lot of times though, like I said, I won't necessarily correct them because it's not like it's I guess what they call boy talk. I get it. It's not like nothing that's over the top. It's what men probably do when they in the company of other men, right? My point is, don't assume because I'm a stud, I'm the company of other men, because I don't really like that either. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know when niggas sit around, niggas, they call them bitches. I'm not saying that. Like I said, I'm not on that queer shit. Oh my God, you shouldn't do that. Look, if this dude's sitting around, that's how y'all want to talk. Men been talking like that since forever, I'm assuming. However, it used to be a time where they talked about that around themselves, but not around other people, not around civilized women and kids and shit. Like, they knew how to fucking act like they had some fucking sense, or at the very least set an example. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't like when people assume that I'm going to engage in that. Like, like I'm one of the boys, and I try not to take offense to that because I understand that in their mind it's almost like a compliment to consider me one of the boys. I get that, but I'm not one of the boys. Like, I'm not that kind of boy anyway. Like, I like women. I like being around women. I think women are funny. I think women are much more open to you when you treat them with respect and talk to them nice and not being called bitches and hoes. And I never been like that. I like to have fun and laugh and giggle and shit and like be regular. I don't like all that sleazy shit. So yeah, I just wanted to end on that. This one has been very long. I did not mean to talk this long, but I kept y'all waiting, so I guess here you go. Thanks for listening. Thanks for asking. Thanks for your patience again. And you know, enjoy the rest of your Saturday. All right, peace.